The second mind map in the IT Recruiter Mind Maps booklet is called IT Acronyms from JDs and CVs. So I have reviewed and analyzed hundreds of job descriptions and candidates' resumes to identify which acronyms keep repeating all the time. And just by the way, an acronym is an abbreviation from the initial letters. So for example, AWS, that means Amazon Web Services, right? AWS, Amazon Web Services, or GCP, Google Cloud Platform. And you can see these acronyms on candidates' resumes all the time. They would not write, I worked with Google Cloud Platform, but they just write GCP. Okay, so you at some point need to get familiar with all these keywords such as MVP, minimum viable product, or SEO, search engine optimization. So in this short video, I'll walk you through all of them, and there is also an attached worksheet for you so you can review these acronyms after we finish. Okay, so let's get started. So this is the mind map of IT acronyms. The acronym is an abbreviation that starts with the initial letters. As an example, API, the Application Programming Interface. But you know what? Below this video, you will also find a link to download a worksheet so you can practice. Because when I just go through these, then you will probably not remember them. But I have created a worksheet where you can fill in the blanks. So I would totally recommend you to print it out. If you don't have a printer, don't worry, just get a blank sheet of paper and try to write it down. Try to copy these acronyms and explanations. Just write API equals Application Programming Interface, because that's how you will remember it, okay? So API, Application Programming Interface. ASP, application service provider. So for example, software as a service provider. SaaS is one of the other acronyms that we will also look at. Active server pages, that's also another definition of the same acronym. So it could be a little confusing, but I would probably say that this is more frequent, the application server pages within the .NET ecosystem, especially when it is within the context of C#.NET. AWS, Amazon Web Services, that's the cloud that developers or just IT professionals in general use to store data or to store images or whatever. You know, these cloud providers have dozens and dozens of solutions in the cloud. Continuous integration, CI, that's one of the terms that are related to DevOps. Same with CD, continuous delivery. So these CI and CD, these two terms are often mentioned together. On the candidates' profiles, you can see sometimes CI/CD, content delivery network, CDN, content delivery network, that helps to speed up the page loading time. They distribute content in different regions, in different data centers. Content management system is a tool that makes it easier to start a new website. We are talking about for example, WordPress or Drupal or Joomla. On the previous mind map, I was mentioning, these two, three or four actually. WordPress, Drupal, Joomla, Magento. So these are some of the most popular ones, content management systems. Cascading style sheets, CSS. This is a very common term in IT. A lot of developers know how to use CSS as well as HTML on the basic level. Of course, it could be really advanced, but on a basic level, it's not that hard. You know, for example, to change color or font size. Customer experience. There are some designers who focus on UX, so user experience, or UI, user interface. Some focus on customer experience, so it's overall, it's not just the user flow, but also the overall experience, for example, when it comes to email communication. DBMS, database management systems. DB stands for database. DB, that's a very common acronym. DB, database management system. GCP, Google Cloud Platform, it's similar as AWS that I mentioned before. So Google Cloud Platform, Amazon Web Services, or Microsoft Azure Cloud, these are quite similar. I mean, of course, there are different companies, but the purpose and the goal of these is pretty much the same. Hypertext markup language, this is what a lot of developers know by heart, just because when they create websites, they cannot do it without HTML. And HTML is not really that difficult at the end of the day, so it's not that difficult to learn it. And HTML5 is the latest version, as well as CSS3 that I listed here. HTTPS is the protocol, or HTTP is the protocol, and HTTPS is the secured hypertext transfer protocol. So you can see it here. Infrastructure as a service. There are different ways how to provide the ecosystem, you know, the technical ecosystem, whether we are talking about data or the whole infrastructure, the servers. So AWS, for example, or Google Cloud, they have different solutions in place, and they can offer, for example, software as a service like Gmail, or infrastructure as a service. So they have different options how IT teams can take advantage of their infrastructure. Integrated development environment, that's something you can imagine it as Word, but Microsoft Word, but not for writing documents, but rather for writing code. So developers use IDEs, integrated development environments, to create websites, to build mobile applications, and they in the morning open up this tool, this software, and they spend the whole day in that one particular software where everything is integrated. Java Enterprise Edition is also called as Jakarta Enterprise Edition. It has been renamed, so just don't get confused. J2EE or J2SE stands for Java Platform, either Enterprise Edition or Standard Edition. This is the E or S in these two words, J2EE or J2SE. JS also stands for JavaScript. JSE, Java Platform Standard Edition. Okay, so this was Java 2 Platform Enterprise Edition, but JSE is just the Standard Edition. Java SE, JSE. You can often see this on job requirements for Java backend developers. Java Server Faces. It's one of these frameworks that Java developers use. JSON, JavaScript Object Notation, that's a way for applications to exchange data between each other. Java Server Pages, yeah, that's similar. It's JSF and JSP, very similar frameworks within the Java ecosystem. LAMP and mean are some of the technical stacks that I mentioned also on the previous mind map when I was talking about the different technical stacks right here. So LAMP, mean, MERN, different technical stacks. So Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP, or Mongo, Express, Angular, Node.js. And the third one is right here. So Mongo, Express, React, Node.js. MERN, MERN. So that stands for Mongo, Express, React, and Node.js. MS, pretty much everyone knows Microsoft, right? So MS, Microsoft. Microsoft Cloud, Microsoft Windows, Microsoft Azure. MVP stands for minimum viable product. MVP, minimum viable product. The initial version of some new product where product managers just want to test the functionality to see if customers are interested, if investors are willing to put some money on the table. OOP, object-oriented programming. ORM, object relational mapper. That's something that developers use to not write SQL directly, to type the SQL language, but rather they use some proxy, something in between, so they don't have to write SQL all the time. OS, operating system. iOS, macOS, Windows is also an operating system, Linux, Unix. PaaS, platform as a service. It's similar to infrastructure as a service, and we will be also discussing the whole cloud space. So on one of the mind maps, somewhere on the page, probably 25, 30, there is an explanation of different options. So platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, software as a service. So we will leave details for later. Peer, PHP extension and application repository. That's what PHP developers use. Speaking of PHP, it's right here. So it's a name of the programming language, but that's also a recursive acronym for PHP Hypertext Preprocessor. So that's quite confusing. You don't have to even remember it. I just included it here because PHP is really popular programming language, and just for you to know that it means something, but it doesn't really matter what does it mean. Procedural language, SQL. That's the PL SQL, procedural language. It's like programming language to simplify it, but they call it procedural language because with SQL, PL SQL, you can only write procedures, not the whole program like with other programming languages. REST is a way how different applications exchange data and the state between applications. So REST stands for representational state transfer. Oh my, what happened with this underline? I cannot draw a straight one. So in this case, I would say you don't really need to remember what does this mean. Just remember REST API, that usually goes together. REST API. API was the first term we covered here. Okay, so REST APIs. QA, quality assurance. We will also discuss QA in depth later. So there is a difference between QA and testing, also a subtle one, but still we will discuss different IT positions, different IT roles. Software as a service, I already mentioned when I was talking about platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, and you and I, we all use software as a service on a daily basis. You must use some email in the cloud, or even, I don't know, Facebook could be seen as a software as a service. Probably not, it's social media, but it is some software that we can use as a service. Or for example, CRM system, or maybe you use some applicant tracking system. So all of these where you pay for the software, not Facebook, of course, but who knows, maybe one day. But we pay for some software on a regular basis, whether monthly or annual. We pay for that software as a, instead of a one-time license, we pay on a monthly basis. SDK, software development kit. Developers use a lot of these SDKs, so they simplify the whole development. Software development lifecycle, search engine optimization. I guess everyone has heard of SEO by now. A lot of companies need to optimize their ranking on Google. It's been here for, ever since Google has started ranking websites. SLA, software license agreement or service level agreement. SOAP, simple object access protocol. SPA, single page application, that's quite trendy these days. SQL, structured query language, and the opposite is not structured. I mean, not non-relational databases. So those non-relational databases, they don't use SQL. So that's when we say no SQL. Subversion, it's the older technology. The newer one is Git. So SVN was replaced by Git. User interface, user experience, these two go together. Some professionals only focus on UI, some only focus on UX, and XML is the last acronym that you should know in the middle of the night, because it's often used to exchange data. I was talking about this one already with regards to the previous must-know IT terms. I guess it was somewhere here. So hopefully you have seen this mind map. If not, then check it out. The video focuses on other must-know IT terms. These are acronyms, so those abbreviations that start with the same, with the initial letters. But there are also some other must-know IT terms. Cool. So anyway, if you need any more help with regards to these IT terms, like they keep repeating all the time. Sometimes it's hard to analyze a job requirement, but that's also why I have recorded lots of different videos where I analyze job requirements. So if you would like to learn more about how to interpret a technical job requirement, you can also just go to our website, the Tech Recruitment Academy members area, and there is one module that focuses on analyzing job requirements. Those job requirements are usually full of different IT terms, so like acronyms, as you've seen just now. So you will learn in this particular module how to read between the lines and derive some meaningful information from technical JDs. Okay, so I would encourage you, if you need to interact with hiring managers or with candidates and you are a bit lost in this IT terminology, then open it up, go to the Tech Recruitment Academy, and you will learn a lot more there. So with that, I'll wrap it up. There are more videos describing different mind maps, so stay tuned. If you are just transitioning to IT recruitment, you may find the whole booklet with over 40 mind maps very useful. This booklet includes mind maps that cover the whole IT world, the whole list of IT roles that you may engage with or interact with these IT professionals. You may also find an explanation of the software development landscape. You will understand on a high level the web development landscape, and then we will dive deeper to, for example, software development with JavaScript programming language, just because this is the most popular one. But there is also a mind map that covers the C#.NET landscape or Python and the whole data and data engineering space. So if you are transitioning to IT recruitment, whether you are an HR specialist or a talent acquisition specialist or a project manager even, you may find these mind maps useful. So you can just go to our website, https://itrecruitermindmaps.com and get your PDF file now. You can then print it out, you can keep it on your desk. That's what I do, because before I hop on a call with a hiring manager, I quickly look up the terminology, as well as before I'm about to screen a candidate for a very specific position, for example, a system administrator or a DevOps engineer or a front-end React developer. Then I just open up the related mind map, I look up the terminology, I get the vocabulary really quick. Sometimes all we need is a little refresher, right? And then I hop on a call with confidence. So you can get the PDF printed out and also get access to our members area, where there is a list of all these videos. You can find videos explaining each mind map. So I have recorded these videos because I know how hard it is for someone who has never worked in IT to transition to IT recruitment. So that's why I interpret these mind maps inside the members area. So you can join the members area, watch those videos, and become much more confident when interacting with hiring managers or IT candidates. So just go to itrecruitermindmaps.com.